morning, everyone. Another time to do 55 minutes of current and relevant business conversation. I'm Ini John Mekwa, and this is Business Morning. We start from the global space as usual. Oil prices rose on Thursday after falling more than $1 in the previous session, and is supported by hopes of a breakthrough in looming trade talks between the U.S. and China, two of the world's largest oil consumers. Brent for this morning is up 10 cents, that's about 0.2%, $61.22 a barrel. WTI, that's a West Texas Intermediate crude, also gained 13 cents, also 0.2% at $58.20. Optimism around the U.S. and China trade talks this weekend is a primary factor supporting the rebound in the oil market. Also, signs of de-escalating trade war, improved market sentiment, triggering a rebound in oil prices in an oversold market. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent will meet up with China's top economic official on May 10 in Switzerland for negotiations over a trade war that's disrupting global economy. The countries are the world's two largest economies, and disruptions from their trade dispute are likely to lower crude consumption growth. U.S. President Donald Trump is suggesting that China initiated the trade talks, adding he was not willing to cut U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods to get Beijing to negotiations. But Mr. Besser says that the upcoming talks are start, not advanced discussions. Weak demand concerns capped oil price gains after the Federal Reserve held interest rates steady but warned about rising economic uncertainties. We'll certainly talk about the Fed's decision later on the program. And in Africa, air cargo demand across the continent, including Nigeria, dropped by 13.4% in March, and that's the steepest drop worldwide, according to a new data from the International Air Transport Association. Yet, cargo capacity in the region grew by 10.5% year-on-year. In contrast, global demand went up 4.4%, driven by strong performance in Asia Pacific and North America. Europe also recorded growth, while the Middle East saw a slight drop. IATA links the global rise to early shipments ahead of U.S. tariff hikes, and falling fuel prices and modest global trade growth also helped to boost overall volumes. Back here in Nigeria, the country has lost over 1.3 billion naira to the outbreak of Tuta absoluta, also known as tomato Ebola, in Kano, Katsina, Kaduna. And this is according to the Minister of Agriculture, Abubakar Kyari. The outbreak has pushed the price of 50 kg basket of tomatoes from 5,000 to 30,000, adding pressure to already rising food costs. Tomatoes and peppers used daily in most Nigerian kitchens are now out of reach for many homes. Mr. Kyari says that the crisis highlights the need for urgent pest control, resilient crop varieties, and better support for farmers. He warns that without swift action, Nigeria's food supply chain remains exposed to further shocks. The Cocoa Association of Nigeria is working towards repositioning the association to ensuring quality and competitiveness in the international market. The national president of the association, Mr. Muftau Abolarinwa, made this disclosure at the National Cocoa Stakeholders Workshop that was held in Akure, Ondo State. The International Culture and Event Center in Akure, the Ondo State capital, is the venue for the National Cocoa Stakeholders Workshop and Excellency Award. The theme, deforestation-free cocoa production and improved trade practices through adoption of sustainable national traceability system, means that essentials of production and trade will be covered.
The association has faced funding constraints that have made it difficult to meet certain obligations. In light of this, the National Council has approved the following strategy measures to strengthen our financial base. The 300 naira per ton levy on all cocoa loaders from farm gates throughout Nigeria. We revise the membership structure with registration now as from 500,000 and annual subscription of 1 million depending on the membership category.
The governor of the state, Lucky Aiyedatiwa, is working closely with the association after assessing the economic benefits of cocoa to the state. He shares his support.
Provision of improved seedlings and fertilizers free of charge to farmers to enhance yield and quality. And this we will continue to do from time to time. Comprehensive training and capacity building programs for select farmers to adopt best practice.
At the end of the two-day workshop, it's expected that more ideas, synergies and policies would have been formed towards improving the quality and quantity of cocoa production in the country. Well, let's stay on commodities now with the Chief Executive Officer of Financial Derivatives Company, Mr. Bismarck Rwani. Mr. Rwani, good morning and welcome to the program. But it doesn't seem we're starting on a good note. I believe you've heard about this tomato Ebola and the threat that it brings to the agriculture value chain. And, you know, when I was reading that story, it's the Minister of Agriculture that is warning us. And I wonder, well, it's his responsibility at first, you know, to cater for such things. But this is a problem coming upon us. I wonder how you see it, how much trouble this can bring to us, and how it can be nipped in the bud.
Thank you very much, for having me. The problem with tomatoes is that it has the effect of the price of an increase in the price of tomatoes leads to what we call cross elasticity, which means that the price of all the other substitutes begin to increase, including the price of carrots, the price of tomato paste, the price of tomato puree, and all other things. One, for the reddening, two, for the effect and the thickening of the sauce that you're making. So that has an effect. However, because tomato is a perishable commodity, it also means that if there's the tomato Ebola and the price has increased and also the supply has reduced, it has a knock-on effect on so many other things. So I think that's where it is a problem. We don't have the storage, we don't have the preventive mechanism, insecticides and all of that actually reduces it. So for this season, we are going to have this, and it's going to have a very knock-on effect on so many other commodities that are part of the food basket. I think that is very important to note. So you look out for one, an increase in the price of carrots, increase in the price of tomato paste, increase in the price of tomato puree, increase in everything that adds to the reddening of the sauce and the
yeah. Well, unfortunately, another challenge for us to deal with right there. But I mean, yesterday the Federal Reserve held interest rates steady again, a third consecutive time. What does this mean for us in the emerging economy? Of course, whatever affects the dollar, just goes down to what's going on, or what happens to us.
It has two things. One is the market effect, and the other one is institutional check and balance. Basically, the central bank autonomy and independence is extremely important for macroeconomic stability, especially in the world's largest economy. The U.S. economy is about $27 trillion in size, 25% of global GDP. And every time that economy is threatened with signs of macroeconomic instability, it has an effect, knock-on effect on the rest of the world. So the Federal Reserve Bank, even though naturally should be thinking at this time because of unemployment, because of inflation, how to reduce rates, right? But the fact that it has become a political tug of war between the executive and the independent central bank has become a problem. Mr. Jerome Powell's term does not come to an end until, I think, May 2026, sometime. And then there's been a lot of pressure on him to bring down rates, whether he likes it or not. And so the question is it right for them to bring down rates at this time? Or two, this is also a part of the psychological tug of war between the executive and the independent of monetary policy in the country. So I think that right now he's doing the right thing, and that there's too much turbulence, and the call that there is a chance that there will be a recession, Goldman Sachs says 40% probability. JP Morgan says 60% probability. And therefore, if there's a probability that there'll be a recession, then the most important thing to do at that time is to watch and see, and then if possible, bring down rates. But I don't think it's going to do that now. But what it does for us, one, because the rates have been kept steady, we've seen a drop in the price of oil, and you just said it now, that the price of oil is now Brent is $61 a barrel. But I want you to know that over the past 8 weeks, the dollar has lost probably cumulatively over 9% of its value against a basket of currencies. So what you are getting, the $61 you are getting per barrel now, is an equivalent of maybe $54 if you sold this oil 3 months ago. So the effective price of oil, the nominal price of oil, and more than anything else, the reverse order in terms of the price of gold, which is at about $3,400 per ounce right now, means that there's a flight to quality. People are going from dollar to gold, and people are going also, the price of commodities, especially oil, which is denominated in dollars, is becoming lower, and that has a direct impact on us. One, our fiscal revenue. Two, our fiscal deficit. Three, our rate of inflation. And more than anything else, we're talking about we having about maybe $181 per head, right, from oil, compared to about $4,000 or $4,500 maybe of what Saudi Arabia. So if you say oil revenue per capita in Nigeria is about $181, maybe 200, and then in Saudi Arabia it's about $4,000. So you can see the difference between one and the other. So basically, we are oil, we have high oil reserves, but we are very strapped in cash. We need cash, and we need cash to support our currency. So you see, in the last few days, we've seen the Naira begin to weaken, in fact, in the last 2 days.
Yeah, we've seen that, Mr. Rwani. We've seen some drops right there in spite of CBN's intervention. But thank you so much, Mr. Bismarck Rwani, Chief Executive Officer of Financial Derivatives Company, for your time and views this morning.
Thank you for having me.
All right, now let's talk about living life without worries, if that's possible. I think NCA tell you it's possible, and that's why we have right here in the studio the Managing Director of NCA Insurance Limited, Mr. Maruf Akpampa. Mr. Akpampa, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, we're just talking to Mr. Rwani there and was telling us a lot of reasons to be worried. But you have a campaign at NCA and you say it's living life without worries. I wonder how realistic that is.
It is very realistic. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, everyone. I think it is very realistic. Living life without worries. And I think if you understand the importance of insurance, you know everybody is a must that you must have an insurance policy. So I'll give you an instance. You know when you are financially protected and when you wake up in the morning and you are going to work or you're going to your business, in case of any unforeseen circumstance, you are adequately protected. So it allows you that latitude to think. It allows you that latitude to also innovate and to be creative. If I know once I leave the house I'm going to work, my families are protected. In case anything happens to me, my children will go to school. In case anything happens to me, the house I live in, the mortgage I've taken, in case I die, my family will still retain that same property. In case anything happens to me, my children will still continue their education. So why do I need to worry? So I can go about with my life doing what I know best how to do. But when you start worrying, it won't allow you to do what you're actually supposed to do. So in terms of all the uncertainties around, it also creates so much in terms of opportunities for people that are very discerning. And that's why we're saying on our part, live your life without worry. With NCR cover, you can plan your life and the future. And you can also expand the business and the economy at large.
Yeah, but generally, it does seem the perception and adoption of insurance in Nigeria is not very positive. There seem to be suspicion, areas of accessing, even after you paid premium, accessing, the benefit afterwards. And I've had a couple of conversations here on the program, trying to, even the insurance regulator was here to try to clean some of those perceptions, but it does seem like that negative sentiment runs very deep. And so you guys still have a lot of work to do.
I totally agree with you, and I'll say this to you. In 2023, for instance, insurance premium is over 1 trillion. We paid over 600 billion as claim. But one of the challenges we have is we don't actually give so much publicity to it when we pay claims. And I'll give you an instance. There was this incident that happened. The breadwinner of the family died, and we paid over almost 200 million. But the wife was saying in the organization that we should not announce it. Number one, security risk to the wife and to the family. So you cannot publicize it that you've paid this claim. But we pay claims. And insurance business is about paying claims. We're in the business of paying claims. We make a promise to you that in case anything happens, we'll be there for you. And we do that a lot. The challenge majorly most of the time, and when you ask people, they tell you, oh, so person said they had a policy, they were not paid. And when you get to that person, you realize it's a reported speech. But you can also confirm, paying over 600 billion as claim, you can imagine the economic loss of wealth to the society and to the community at large if insurance is not there. So that means we were able to restore people back to their businesses. So you can imagine what could have happened to those organizations or to those individuals or to those SMEs. We pay claims. It's just about perception, and we're trying to do that.
Maybe insurance companies should do more about blowing their trumpet. So I hear what you say about an individual who says, because of security. But if the body or a company comes out to, make a loud noise, in 2024, this is what we paid as claims, and it makes the news, then you're not exposing any individual customer. But you try to work on the mind of Nigerians that they actually do pay claims, and this is what they spend, in spite of what they got as premium.
I totally agree with you. The Commissioner for Insurance, Mr. Sheikh Omoshe, at NICOM now there's a new mantra, is find a reason to pay genuine claims. And NC as an institution, we also have it as a policy statement. For every signed EV, for every genuine claim, we pay within 24 and 48 hours. If you have any claim and you've signed your DV, within 24 and 48 hours, we pay standard. So last year, for instance, we paid over 12 billion. In the last 10 years, we've paid over 44 billion naira as claim. So we do that as much as possible. In fact, the reason why we've been having growth in our business is because we are also there for our clients, and it gives them the opportunity as they are expanding their businesses. They're also expanding our income as well. So for most of the organization now, even before now, we've been paying claims. Like I said, in 2023, we paid over 600 billion claims. Last year, I'm sure by the time they're done with the data collection, it should be almost 800 billion or more than 800 billion paid as claim. So we'll be giving so much publicity to that. NIA, that's the body of Insurance Association, will be coming up very soon to be showing, to showcase what we've done in terms of claims payment, and we continue to do that. But now, almost every insurance company pays claim. You cannot even afford not to, because the commission will not even allow it. Because they're breaching almost all the insurance companies to tell them, all your outstanding claim, you must write us and tell us why you're not paying. And even for us as an institution. Now, if I pay your claim, the referrals we get from you will be so much. But if I don't pay your claim, you also tell other people. So, I mean, what we've done is to also get referrals from people that are satisfied, testimonials from all these customers. And that's what we continue to do.
And accessibility or packaging of your products and services is also another thing. Is it just for the big guys? Do you have packages for, the normal Nigerians?
Oh, absolutely. So the beauty of it is we have for the day-to-day people, or that's the retail customers. We have for SMEs, and we have for corporate institutions. For instance, almost every quarter, we go to markets to do market stumps, to go to all these traders, to tell them the importance of insurance and why they also need insurance.
So you have packages for the woman who sells tomatoes out there?
Absolutely. One thing that is common to every Nigerian, they want to educate their children. Do you understand? They know with education, that's the way out of poverty. That's one line. Personal accident policy too, they go out every day too. So in case anything happens to them, they're also covered. Health insurance as well too, they also get sick. So for all of this, we have packages. It all depends. So it all depends on the individual, and it also depends on your needs. So what we do at NCR is to profile every individual, be it individual, SMEs or corporate organization. We profile you, and we tailor our product to suit your needs.
Including those in the grassroots?
Oh, absolutely. Insurance is for everybody. Like I said again, insurance is like water. You cannot live without it. You cannot live without it. That's what we're saying. Live your life without worries. Once you have NCR cover, you don't have any problem, because you can go about your business and your life.
And for 30 years you've been doing this. You recently celebrated your 30th anniversary. I wonder how you would describe the last 30 years and what you see in the next 30 years.
Thank you very much. I think for us at NCR, we're a Pan-African insurance company in 12 African countries, headquartered in Côte d'Ivoire. I think in the last couple of years, I said something earlier on, one of our key strategic objectives is to ensure that in every household in Nigeria, we have an NCR family member. And we can achieve that, and it's doable, and we've started doing that. I think in the last couple of years, we've transitioned from HADIC to NCR. Before now, NCR came into Nigeria about 15 years ago. HADIC has been in Nigeria for over 36 years. But however, NCR came into Nigeria. NCR, what it simply means is the Association of African, bringing Africans together under a common umbrella to sell insurance to them, to take insurance across all these places. So what we have done is to provide protection, not just for families, but for SMEs and organizations. What we're also doing is also to help in increasing the GDP of the country. Now, when you know you have an NCR cover, again, I'll take you back to live life without worries. You can expand your business. You can grow your business. You go to bank to raise additional capital to grow your business. As an individual also too, you can also expand your business in whatever you do, and SMEs as well. So what we've done in the last 30 years is to provide, number one, we've actually we are creating wealth. We're also protecting that wealth. But what is most important is actually how do they sustain this wealth. And that's what we're doing. We're protecting, we're creating, and we're also helping them to sustain it. And we've done that for a couple of years, and we continue to do that. And that's why we're in business.
And so how do people reach you? Someone is interested in this conversation. Do they have to go to your physical office? Do you have a virtual office? Do you have, how can an individual who's interested start this journey with you, NCR?
They can get across to us, through almost all channels, physically, through email, and through our virtual way, and all across. We have
branches?
Channels. Yeah, we have branches. We're in 13 branches across the country, and we're also expanding more. Again, like I said again, in the geopolitical zones in the country, we're in Abuja, we're in Kano, we're in Kaduna, we just opened Katsina, and we're also expanding to as far as Maiduguri, Yobe, and the rest of them. Before the end of the year, we'll be in those locations. Our intention is to get closer to the community, to the grassroots, to ensure that we're able to provide support for them, and we'll be there for them when they need us most.
And also create products, customize it to suit, because I can imagine that the product you have as attractive in Lagos will be different from what you have in Maiduguri, for instance.
Absolutely. Again, like I said again, we have a team. It's called Research and Product Development. So we go to environment, we look at the peculiarities of that environment, and we tailor our product to suit their needs. I think a couple of months ago, I was in Katsina, I was in Kano, and we were on here to also tell them the importance of insurance. What is currently ongoing in the country is on third-party insurance. People don't actually appreciate it, and they don't know the importance. And we're telling them the importance that even with third-party insurance, these are the benefits you can derive from it. And we're seeing traction. And we're having a lot of that. And we continue to do that. But what is most important is that we'll be there for these people when they need us.
And getting the claims will not be difficult.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, like I said again, for us, when we have any new client, I usually pray they have claims. You know why? When they don't have claims, they can't actually appreciate what we are doing. And when they have that claim is when they appreciate actually what we are doing and why we're in business.
So what will be your parting words to Nigerians who are watching you at this time?
I think I'll say to Nigerians, live your life without worries. You must ensure you have an NCR insurance policy. It will give you the comfort and the reason why you have to continue to grow your business and you have to live without worries. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Morufa Pampa, the Managing Director of NCR Insurance Limited, for telling us about living life without worries.
Thank you very much.
Well, I guess another way you can live life without worries is taking care of your health, and that's why we saw the establishment of Nigeria's new pharmaceutical manufacturing training institute. The federal government says it's to empower Nigerians, and they've advanced about 22 new large-scale health sector manufacturing projects funded by $5.5 billion in private sector capital. Of course, this is being led by the Ministry of Health. But at the top of it directly is a national coordinator, presidential initiative on unlocking healthcare value chain, Dr. Abdul Mukhtar. He joins us from Abuja studio. Dr. Mukhtar, good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning. Good to be here.
Great. So tell us about this, because especially since we had the exit of multinationals in the health sector, and we've seen the increase, or healthcare inflation has more than doubled. A lot of people have been talking about domestic manufacturing, and we've heard announcement about that. Now we're seeing there's going to be an institute to train the personnel to deal with what. Paint the full picture for us, what we can expect in this aspect of domestic manufacturing.
Okay, thank you. So, like you said, we are leading this initiative called the Presidential Initiative for Unlocking the Healthcare Value Chain, which was established by His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in October of 2023, with three key objectives. The first objective is, of course, to increase the share of locally manufactured products in Nigeria. When you look at it across all product lines, if you look at medicines, for example, mostly we import generics, and we import about 70% of the generics that we use in this country. In terms of vaccines, we import actually 100% of the vaccines that we use in this country. In terms of medical devices like test kits, we import about 98%. This is not tenable for a country of 230 million people. We need to have a minimal level of security in people. We need to have a minimal level of security of supply of these commodities. We also, what happened during COVID when countries became nationalistic and there was just really a shutdown of the import of some of these essential products into our countries. So to address that, the initiative was set up, and the first pillar or the first mandate from the president is for us to actually reverse those numbers to increase the share of locally manufactured products. The goal on the aggregate is that by the year 2030, we want to be able to import only about 30% of the healthcare products that we use instead of the 70% that we import now. Now, to be clear, all countries in the world import, some percentage of this. But again, the idea is to be able to provide, at least for essential medicines and medical equipment, and supply, a minimum that will guarantee our security for healthcare. And also, in the long term, when you produce locally, you have many other benefits. Of course, you create jobs. You acquire technology and know-how and knowledge, but also, you'll be able to crash down prices in the long run. So this is essentially what we want to do. The second objective of this is also to reduce the share of outbound medical tourism. Every year, Nigerians spend about $2 billion on average for outbound medical tourism. So the idea is to build the necessary quality infrastructure for healthcare, hospital facilities, diagnostic facilities, to be able to retain people here, but even more so, attract people from other countries. So this is really what the initiative is about, and it's also tied within a broader healthcare strategy under the Renewed Hope investment renewal strategy for healthcare that is being led by the Honorable Coordinating Minister of Health, Professor Mohammed Ali Pate, And so this is what we are trying to do, to basically link all of the different pillars of the healthcare strategy to unlocking the healthcare value chain so that we can create jobs, we can attract foreign direct investment, but also mobilize local resources internally.
Yeah, and we see that this has been gaining attention already because I see recently there was €1 billion from the European Investment Bank and additional $1 billion from Afrexim, and all of this is to incentivize healthcare value chain localization. I wonder if we can get some, I mean, because yeah, we hear all this money, we hear, all the plans, but are there timelines, something to make it realistic? I know you said by 2030 we expect that we would only import about 30% of what we need in the health sector, but it has to be a journey getting to 2030, even though 2030 is not so far away.
Yeah, absolutely, and an excellent question. So we are already executing on this mandate. And to talk about some specific issues that you said, the way we try to implement this is two things. Number one, and you touch on both of them. Number one is really to build an ecosystem. An ecosystem means, everything that you need for local manufacturing to happen. There are a lot of challenges in local manufacturing of all products, but with specific reference to healthcare, is issues around policies and regulations. It's issues around infrastructure, it's issues around human capital, it's issues around market access, access to finance. So what we're trying to do in this presidential initiative is to systematically address each of these. Now, you talk about the training institute. That training institute is supposed to address one of those key challenges that we see in the local manufacturing of pharmaceuticals and healthcare products, which is the human capital. So you talk about this academy, the Empower Academy, Manufacturing Academy that we are going to establish in partnership with Empower Swiss, which is a global institution for training in the biosciences area, where we also are looking to establish this. So the timeline for that, for example, the Empower is actually 1 year. Within 1 year, we'll have a full-fledged manufacturing academy for local manufacturing in Nigeria. In the next 2 to 3 months, we're going to establish a virtual training platform. We've already developed the curriculum. We've already attracted the knowledge and the things that we need. This will be rolled online across Nigeria. The second phase, which is from the 3rd month to maybe another 3 months, is to establish what we call training pods, where we'll have simulation facilities where you actually have machines and technology where people can actually go and train. And then the last phase is actually to establish physical structures in conjunction with existing universities. Medical knowledge changes so fast, and people go to school to study medicine, to study pharmacy for 4 or 5 years, and related sciences. At the end of the day, by the time they finish, the technology and the knowledge has evolved. So what we are trying to do, this is going to be like a finishing school, where very specific targeted training will be issued, and the industry is very excited about this because what their needs are. We'll train the industry, but we'll also support the regulators like NAFDAC, like the Pharmaceutical Council of Nigeria, in doing that. So that is one. And again, I talk about ecosystem. There is also the issues around policies. As you know, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu signed an executive order last year, which is actually being implemented as we speak, to provide fiscal incentives, including zero duty, zero VAT for importing equipment and raw materials for local production of healthcare products. This is very important. The second provision in the executive order is the provision to shape the market, through the establishment of pool procurement mechanisms, framework contracts, and volume guarantees. So that's on the one hand. And the second issue that you talk about, which is the financing. So again, some of these manufacturers need all sort of finances. So what we've been doing is to mobilize resources that have multiple instruments that will serve the needs across the industry. Some companies are big, some are small, some need debt, some need equity, some need guarantees, some just need technical assistance. So just talking to financial institutions, the development finance institutions, but also other related institutions, we are mobilizing a pool of this money. So the 1 billion from Afrexim Bank and the €1 billion from the European Investment Bank, for example, these are pools of money that are available, that are ready for people to tap into, provided you have a good, feasible, bankable business plan. This money is available. So our commitment to Nigerians is, look, if you have a good business, private sector business in healthcare that makes sense, you will be supported. You'll be supported in terms of the policies and the regulations that we are putting in place. So you will have the right enabling environment to do your business. But also equally important, you will be supported in terms of access to the finance that you need to be able to make investments and expand capacity or establish new.
Yeah, Dr. Mukta, very interesting, and I really appreciate that, you gave those timelines, what to expect. I think that's one of the things that we miss when we discuss plans and all of that. And interesting that you said the funds are available, and even the executive order. But I spoke to someone from, the ecosystem some time ago about especially that executive order, and he did complain about the limitation of it. So it's not open to just anyone. I think it's just for a select group. And that, they say, is militating the impact that it would have had. And even for the fund that you say is available, how open and accessible is it? Is it just any business that can prove that they're existing and doing well? Or what about those bureaucracy in accessing those funds? These are worries that they have.
Yeah, these are excellent questions. And just to be clear, we talk to the industry almost every day. The Honorable Minister of Health, established this group called the Pharmaceutical Consultative Forum, where we consult with the industry. Every quarter we meet in different places in Nigeria to hear from them. And this is also we getting feedback. So we know what the industry is thinking and what the key issues are. So that's very important. Secondly, with regards to the executive order, the industry is actually part of the development of the executive order. So when the even think through to come up with the idea about the executive order, we worked with the industry. But most importantly, when we are developing, after the president signed, we developed, he charged us to develop an implementation framework. Again, the industry represented by the PG-MAN, Pharmaceutical Group of the Manufacturers Association, Pharmaceutical Group, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. They are part of the development of that framework. No order or no policy is perfect. So the idea is, as you test it, you see where the issues are, where problems are, and you try to adjust. So yes, this is not for everyone. You cannot just wake up today and say, look, I want to establish, I have an idea, I want to establish a manufacturing facility tomorrow, and I want to bring equipment and raw materials, and you give me zero duty, zero VAT. You have to prove, first of all, this is a regulated industry, so NAFDAC, the regulator will have to certify that you indeed are a manufacturer, that you indeed have the right facilities to do this. And when all of that is established, then you will have access. So yes, we have a list. So what we have is a list of raw materials and equipment that are exempted under this order, about 773 of them. But we also have a list of the manufacturers, again, established and certified by the regulator. It's not the kind of industry where anybody can just wake up today and say, look, I want to manufacture, and then you basically get these incentives. But when the Honorable Minister of Finance conveyed this order, the implementation framework, to customs in his letter, and the industry is aware of this, there is a very clear paragraph that says this will be updated regularly. So if you are a manufacturer today and you are interested and your name is not on that list, once you finish all the regulatory processes with NAFDAC and you're ready to begin establishing your factory or production, your name and the name of your company will be included in that executive order, and you'll be able to access those incentives. So this is very clear. Second, on the financing, yes, financing is there, is available. But again, these are also institutions, development finance. These are finance institutions. So your project, your business has to make sense. It has to be feasible. It has to be bankable. Once that is there, then I commit, and we are promising Nigerians that once you have a bankable and feasible project, then you will be able to access those finances. Now, we in the presidential initiative, one of the things that we try to do is to work again with project owners and sponsors to try to make them to that bankability to be feasible. We know that it's not an easy process, but we are ready and willing, and we actually have been doing that, to hold hands, to guide, to support in doing all the things that are necessary for any business to be bankable or to be feasible to access those funds. This week, we spent a lot of time this week hosting the European Investment Bank that is actually visiting Nigeria. And as we speak today, they're actually in Lagos, meeting with some of the pipeline companies that we've identified. These companies, we have about 75 very solid businesses in our pipeline that different financial institutions are looking at. Again, EIB, they came from Brussels. They are here. We met in Abuja the last 2 days. Today they're in Lagos talking to a number of companies, and I know, and I don't want to mention.
All right, yeah, you don't have to mention Dr. Muktar.
The verge of making investment into these companies.
Okay, all right, good news, good news. Thank you so much.
Yes.
For giving us
the point is, this is hard work. Yeah, this is hard work. Yeah.
All right, you wanted to say something, Dr. Muktar?
No, I was going to say, look, this is hard work. It's not manufacturing in itself is hard work, right? And we know that in addition to that, people have to deal, organizations, private sector have to deal with all these other challenges. But we are willing, and that's really precisely why His Excellency, President Tinubu, established this initiative to make sure that people, organizations are supported. Businesses are supported. And as you know, I don't know whether I'm sure you are aware, on Monday, His Excellency, Mr. President, made a very bold declaration that all procurement, public procurement going forward, will be done from local companies. And this is across all sectors. Even before that, this is what we've been actually trying to do in the health sector. And now we are glad that this has been extended across all sectors, because once you do that, and I talk about shaping the market, this is really a guarantee
all right,
that
Dr.
if you
Muktar.
produce their incentives, you'll be supported.
All right, Dr. Muktar, we really have to go, but I mean, interesting information you've given us so far, and I guess it could give a bit of hope, that we would see the results, and those funds are really available if you qualify. But thank you so much. And wish you, it's hard work, but we wish you more hard work with results. The National Coordinator, Presidential Initiative on Unlocking Healthcare Value Chain, Dr. Abdul Muktar, thank you for your time. We hope to get you back on the program, to get those other parts we were able to touch on today.
Thank you. Happy to come back.
All right. Let's take a short commercial break. We'll be back. You want to hear about this next conversation, I tell you, because you have a phone, and it's very important to you that is working well. Well, that's the next conversation. Please stay with us. Back, it's still Business Morning here on Channels Television. We're discussing telecoms next. Yes, after that tariff, we did see that report that the demand or consumption of data reduced after that tariff. But the telecommunications company told us that they really needed that increase for them to be alive. Now, after that, we saw MTN announcing their first profit in 2 years. Guess what? We have the Chief Financial Officer here, MTN Nigeria, to tell us what he has done with our money since the tariff. So good morning and welcome to the program, Mr. Modupe Kadri.
Good morning and thanks for having me.
Well, I'm for the people,
yes,
so I
no
pay
problem.
more now, so I'm going to demand on behalf of the people.
Yeah,
so
no
how
problem.
much of this profit from MTN Nigeria came from the tariff increase?
Well, truth be told that, yes, the government did give approvals for the tariffs, headline, but there was actually a process behind that leading to the implementation, which meant that telcos had to submit individual approvals for each of those product plans. Now, that took a while, and effectively, what you could have in this result is not more than 2 weeks of the effect of that, because it took a while to get all those approvals. And there was some noise in the market at the time that some products are no longer available, and that's because we're optimizing all those things in line with the NCC's directives.
So as part of your result, I think we did see that you made a purchase of equipment. I mean,
CapEx.
NCC also did say that some amount of money was spent, but at the end of the day, what consumers want to know is, when do we see this translating? So we've given you the air you need for survival. Now you say you have bought equipment. That was also part of your, in your report as MTN Nigeria. When do we see it translate to better network?
Well, so rightfully so, but what we need to understand is that investment is a process. And when we were doing the advocacy about the tariff increases, we had the agreement, or the argument at the time was that the telco industry had not got a tariff increase for the past 12 years at the time. So what that meant is that you will not have the ability to invest. Now, most of these equipment are not manufactured here, as you know. We have to import this equipment and put on the network, and that will take a while. So it's not like a light switch where you flip on the switch and you say, okay, you got your tariff increases now, I need the equipment. It's going to take a time. But one thing, as the results shows, we've put about 202 billion in Q1, which actually meant that we invested in faith, or put our faith in that we're going to get those tariff increases ahead of the increases, such that it would accelerate the deployment of those equipment. So you're going to see some changes, Q2, Q3. It's our commitment, and we're committed.
We're in Q2 already, yes? So do we see it in this quarter? It's Q2?
Probably towards the early Q3, because it's a process. We have to import this equipment into the country. So.
And can we know you have base stations and things like that. Which of these areas are you focusing on?
So as a whole network, the network is complex. I'm not an engineer, so I don't intend to go into engineering. But you have the transmission side, you have the the fiber network, and you also have the base stations you talked about. Now all these things cost a lot. I mean, the way the cell technology works basically is that the more users latch onto a cell, then it shrinks in size and all that. So it's either you have spectrum resources to amplify those broadcasts or those transmissions, or you build new sites. Either way, it's going to involve capex.
And recently we got a message from our banks, about the SMS charges. Is this feeding off the tariff increase? Is that going down that way?
Well, I'm not a spokesman for the banks, but I would...
But you give them the service.
Just like everybody pays for a service based on the commercials of the time. So I would say yes, maybe. The fact that the regulator announced a 50% increase across all products and services. So that, of course, would include SMS. To that extent, yes.
So looking at your results, first profit, now there's a bit of stability to an extent, looking at the currency and all that. How is this feeding into your operations, and what can we expect? Do we expect another hike, because the Naira, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and understandably so. So I would like to take you back to last year when we had an EGM, and where we actually announced some 5 key points we were going to do. Amongst them was to actually reduce our forex exposure, because it's the forex exposure that actually put us into this big hole that led us to negative equity, negative retained earnings, and we still have a 600 billion hole we're trying to fill. So to that extent, we've reduced those exposures, and what we're left now is to ensure that we do not get unduly exposed. So fluctuations or devaluation in the currency, whilst not welcome, but it's something that we can manage as long as it's not steep. To put it in context, we're talking about currency devaluing from 461 2 years ago to 1,500 levels or 1,600 levels today. That's huge.
Okay, we hear you. And we know you were talking about real deregulation of the industry, where you can actually fix your prices and all of that. I wonder if you're getting headways with that. So we prepare our minds.
Well, I think it's a process. I think the starting point is that our commitment is to give Nigerians the quality of service they deserve. Everybody wants, first and foremost, a good quality service, and that's cost money. And we believe strongly that to the extent that as long as the appropriate pricing is in there, there will be an incentive to make those investments. Don't forget that people talk about the headlines in terms of revenue, but revenue is not profit, because ultimately it's what you give and return back to your stakeholders that would determine your sustainability as a business.
All right, revenue is not profit. I hear you, because you have operational cost also.
Exactly.
And it feeds into the revenue, or feeds from the revenue.
So your headline, your revenue can be a headline trillion, but bottom line is if your costs are outstripping like it was last year, then you will be making a loss.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Modupe Kaduri, the Chief Financial Officer of MTN Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
All right, now, well, a bit connected to that is the 16th Lagos Architects Forum, which was recently held in Lagos, brought together industry leaders to explore the future of architecture in Nigeria's bustling mega city, with the theme Digital Transformation in Architecture, Building Smarter Cities. This year's event highlights the critical role of technology in shaping Lagos' urban landscape.
Digital transformation means we're trying to look at the old ways of doing things, but finding better, smarter ways to do these things. What we started to do was to create advocacy for transforming Lagos. I mean, there's a lot of things that Lagos has already started doing. The smart rail, smart traffic lights, but there's so much more we can do to transforming Lagos into a smarter city. At the end of this, we are hoping that we can help or encourage the government to do bigger things. Not just the government, but you see, the thing about digital transformation is not about the government alone. It's about everybody. It's about the private sector. It's about all of us, both as individuals and professionals.
Making Lagos smarter than it is now. Well, we just have a couple of minutes, Laddie.
And
few
minutes.
Laddie, your time is up, actually.
Yes, it's technically up. So
yes.
It's the U.S. Fed.
It's the U.S. Fed yesterday, yeah.
They left it steady as expected. But let's quickly hear what the Fed chair, had to say.
We noted in our statement, post-meeting statement, we've judged that the risks to higher employment and higher inflation have both risen. And this, by the way, of course, is compared to March. So that's what we can say. I don't think we can say, which way this will shake out. I think there's a great deal of uncertainty about, for example, where tariff policies are going to settle out. And also, when they do settle out, what will be the implications for the economy, for growth, and for employment? I think it's too early to know that. So, ultimately, we think our policy rate is in a good place to stay as we await further clarity on tariffs and ultimately their implications for the economy. I don't think we know. I think if you look at where we are today, we have an economy that, if you look through the sort of distortions in Q1 GDP, you've still got an economy that looks like it's growing at a solid pace. The labor market appears to be solid. Inflation is running just a bit above 2%. So it's an economy that's been resilient and is in good shape. And our policy is sort of modestly or moderately restrictive. It's 100 basis points less restrictive than it was last fall. And so we think that leaves us in a good place to wait and see. We don't think we need to be in a hurry. We think we can be patient. We're going to be watching the data. The data may move quickly or slowly, but we do think we're in a good position where we are to let things evolve and become clearer in terms of what should be the monetary policy response.
And there you have it from the Fed chair, still waiting and seeing at this point. We know President Donald Trump is not a fan of that. But the dollar index did react 0.49%. That was jumped there back to the 100 level. That's the dollar against a basket of currencies that the country actually trades with. So we saw the impact there. It's been on a downtrend for a while now. But what the Fed chair had to say, forward guidance, is still waiting to gauge the economy, even though it sees that the labor force is still quite strong right there in the U.S. So there you have it. It's all about the euphoria now of a trade deal coming between the U.S. and the U.K. That's popping up markets.
And they're meeting in
right
Switzerland.
Now.
I was thinking, why Switzerland? But
that's for China, yeah,
it's
Switzerland.
It's neutral ground. So, all right, Laddie, thank you so much. All right, so that's it on the program. Thank you so much for being a part of it. I hope it was worth your time. We'll do better by 1 p.m. during Business Incorporated. Laddie will be here. I'll be supporting at 1 p.m. during Business Incorporated. I'm Ini John Mekwa. Talk to you later.